Hi everyone, welcome back to The Learning Gardener. We are going to be clearing out hopefully 2 beds today and planting them up. This bed was a really brilliant tomato bed. The front half of the bed did not do so well, and I think some of that was because it was getting shaded by the rose archway that's in front of us, and some of it just because it got swamped by tomatoes. This was a really late planted tomato bed, and we had a volunteer butternut pumpkin, which is the biggest butternut pumpkin that we've grown, so I'm hopefully going to save seed from this. The thing is, the vine is pretty much dead, but I don't think it's ready. I'm going to poke it with my fingernail. It's pretty close, but it's in my way, so it's going to be deemed ready because I have to get my garlic in the ground. We are now in the middle of April. We have 6 more weeks of autumn. The planting guidelines generally for Australia are St. Patrick's Day, but I didn't want to plant them when I knew we were about to get a massive downpour of rain. I didn't want them to rot, but I also am desperate to clear out this area because we just got chickens. I haven't been able to let the dogs out in the yard as much as anybody wants them to be out in the yard because Birdie is still extremely interested in the chickens. Raffy is he's very interested, but Raffy's a good boy. He does what he's told, so he's not a problem. But I can't have him out and her in because our neighbours are here at the moment. They're an Airbnb house usually, and Birdie will bark the whole house down if he's out and she's in and there are chickens in the mix. But because of the chickens, I have completely neglected the garden, and everything kind of died after the massive storm that we had, except for these cherry tomatoes. They seem to be having another go, but they're pretty much mostly full of fruit fly, and I'm just over it. I need to not have like this mess anymore, and I can't wait another 2 weeks for the last few cherry tomatoes on this vine to ripen before I put in my brassicas and my garlic. So we planted up a bed of garlic yesterday. We've been putting brassicas in for weeks and weeks and weeks now, and the ones we put in technically in summer because I was so worried that we weren't going to get any brassicas because that's what happened last winter and spring. They got mauled by aphids and cabbage moths, so I really need to replace them. The ones that only got put in maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, they're doing fine, but we need to put them in. So the brassicas are going in here because the garlic desperately needs the sun. And I really want the garlic because homegrown garlic is amazing. So at least this bed's going to get more sun in winter, whereas this one will get a little bit shaded by the roses because historically the roses haven't gone fully dormant in winter. But this area is where we get more sun in winter, and we're very pushed to get sun in winter. So I'm being picky about where I put my garlic, and also this bed doesn't have, apart from a capsicum that will go dormant, doesn't have any perennials in it, doesn't have anything else growing in it that might upset the garlic because garlic wants to really not have any competition around it. And pretty much all of my beds now have some sort of perennials and things like that in it. So the garlic's just to some extent going to have to cope. There is a basil plant that's looking really good there, which I will leave for the interim because it'll die off very soon and I need to freeze dry some basil, and I've been saying that for weeks and haven't got that far. But I can't look at the mess anymore. I know I should be working on the chicken enclosure and making it more secure, but everything's looking so ratty at the end of summer, and I can't do it anymore. And my seedlings are beyond desperate to get in the ground in some cases, so they just have to go in. We're going to be putting in some sweet peas in here as well because they need somewhere to go, and we're planting up this bed, so that's where they're going. Yeah, we're just going to clean out everything except for like the dahlias. They can get pruned back and tidied up, but when it's time I'll dig that up and divide it because that's the most beautiful dahlia. I think it's a black embers dahlia. But yeah, we're going to do a massive clean out and we're going to get to it because the neighbours lawn dude has just arrived, so there's going to be a lot of whippersnippering and everything else. So I just thought I'd talk you guys through what I was going to do first. I might even get in, I'll have a look when I'm in there, and prune back some of the asparagus because it's suddenly started to die back, which is great. But we do have things like a rogue tomato plant that I didn't even water this year that had, I think they're called blackberry tomatoes, a cherry tomato on there. I don't actually like them. And the chickens don't seem interested in tomatoes, so there's no point in keeping that because I was keeping it for the chickens. But we're going to get in here, harvest anything that there is to harvest, and then compost the rest and plant everything up.
Through the fields of our paths, feelings part our ways, keeping us close but estranged now. Dreams holding us closer, meadows of our youth, 107 days, but recalling it backwards. Our dreams holding us closer. So clear. Ooh, we can see so clear. Blue I'm sitting on a rock and watching heron fly. Feet in the water, out the way. It has been such a beautiful day. A beautiful day. A beautiful day. I'm waiting for the stars to show. I'm waiting for the fire to glow. Feet in the water, half asleep. Let's burn one down and slowly disappear. 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 Oh, I've been hiding, hiding deep in the woods. Oh, I've been searching, searching as far as I could for some answers, answers to my riddles and my doubts. Oh, I might have taken the easy way out, but it doesn't matter now. It doesn't matter now. Remember Nina and the waves, the East Coast for a holiday. I remember the way she laughed and those warm summer nights sleeping in the grass. Nina and the waves. Nina and the waves. Oh, I've been hiding, hiding deep in the woods.
Now my budget for this month and probably next month and all the months to come has really gone on the chicken setup and the courtyard project that we are yet to do. So none of these beds are really going to be getting filled with anything. I had 2 remaining bags of like a store-bought compost to add in, and I've added 1 plus what was left of our homegrown compost to this bed where we're going to plant the garlic, just because I really feel like this bed needs a top up and some looser soil on top for the garlic to actually do well. The garlic varieties we're going to be putting in here are garlic types I haven't grown before. So I did buy about the same amount of garlic as last year, and then I thought, well, I'm actually already running low, so I bought a few more, and to be honest, I think I might try and get some more garlic, but we've got to do a lot of work on a lot of beds before we worry about getting more garlic. So we've got El Camino and we've got Creole Spanish Roja, and the reason I order the types of varieties of garlic I do is just because I'm looking for the ones with the most intense flavor, because I love garlic and I find most store-bought garlic doesn't really taste like much, and you have to put so much in there to actually get the garlic flavor. And last year I grew New Zealand Red and White Crookneck. They were the main ones that actually produced, and there was a massive difference in the flavor of them. And I also found that when I peeled garlic, it actually, particularly this, the New Zealand red, like burnt my fingers because it was such an intense one. So yeah, I don't want burnt fingers, but I want that intense garlic. So a lot of the ones I've ordered are reds, and I'm a sucker for anything Spanish. So when I saw El Camino, I was like, I'm in. And that is because back when I was recovering from round 1 of my thyroid cancer fight, I did part of the Camino de Santiago. So as soon as I saw Camino garlic, I was like, yep, we need that. And then Creole Spanish Roja, well, I love anything Spanish, so all things Spanish are good, therefore the garlic must be good. I don't even know if it's actually Spanish garlic, but who cares? That's what we're going to put in this bed, and I'm just going to distribute them pointy end up, and hopefully they will be happy. We're going to have to cover everything we plant today with the chicken wire netting like I have been doing in some of the other garden beds, because we had sort of chased off the blackbirds, but because the dogs have been mostly inside because of the chickens, and the dogs getting used to the chickens and not harassing them, the blackbirds have come back with a vengeance, and the ones that were minors before are now adults. So yeah, good old blackbirds, still dealing with that drama, and I don't want them eating my garlic, otherwise I'm going to be like an old farmer man sitting out here with my pitchfork. I want my garlic. I'm not sharing it with silly old blackbirds. We managed to get all 6 bulbs planted in this garden bed, which is great because this bed hasn't actually had garlic before. It's mostly been a tomato bed before, so now I'm just watering it in with wormwee, not because I think that the garlic will particularly benefit from a dose of wormwee at the moment, but because the worm farm is flooded, so I figured I might as well put it to use and add a bit of microbial benefit to the soil. I did, as I said, put a layer of homemade compost in here, and it's the last stuff we have that's ready for use. And I've done that because garlic is a hungry little plant, and I also did a massive dose of blood and bone and a slow release fertilizer, because I know I'm hopeless at fertilizing things once they're growing, and I want the garlic to have what it needs to get going. And we're going to cover this with a bit of mulch, and then with the bird proofing, and hopefully that will be enough that in 6 to 9 months we have beautiful homegrown garlic. In terms of the things that I've noticed that are worth home growing, like not everything is worth necessarily the effort involved with growing your own food, but garlic is one of them. It's kind of a great one too, because it's sort of like set and forget. It doesn't need a lot of watering. It doesn't want a lot of watering. Anytime I've tried to take too much care of my garlic, it's always killed it. So perhaps if you've been guilty of neglecting plants before and they've died because of it, maybe garlic is worth a try. And it's also like It doesn't need a lot. You just plant it at the right time of year, make sure it's got a good amount of fertilizer with it, and make sure you've covered it with mulch, and then you come back in like 9 months time and harvest your garlic. And as I said before, the homegrown garlic, the smell of it is unreal and the flavor is heaps better. And obviously you can buy a whole bunch of different varieties quite easily that you cannot get in your supermarket. So it's kind of awesome. And also they like being planted by themselves, so you don't have to worry about companion planting or any of that. You just stick them in the ground at the right time of year and cross your fingers and hope for the best. So I'm going to cover this in mulch now, and then I will move on to this bed, and then I'll do the bird proofing at the end and do it all in one hit. So this bed, I just dumped in the one remaining bag of compost that I had, and that's all it's getting. It's getting some chicken poo pellets, which I didn't put in the garlic because I didn't want to make the bed quite so nitrogen heavy, whereas this one's all going to have a ton of brassicas in, so they won't mind having that extra little bit of nitrogen. Hopefully it'll help them take off before our temperatures start to drop too much more. I've also put the slow release fertilizer and the blood and bone in here. This bed got topped with a pretty decent amount of compost when I came home from hospital, and after we dug up the potatoes that were in this bed before we planted the tomatoes. And I know technically you're not supposed to plant potatoes after tomatoes or vice versa because they're both nightshades and you can get the plagues in the soil that affect both types of crops. But you know what? You have the planting space you have. You can't always do perfect crop rotation, and I'm terrible at planning out my garden beds. In this season it wouldn't have worked anyway because some things went in the ground really early, some things went in the ground really late. My potatoes came out super early, so you know, things just got put in the ground when there was a space to put them in, and that's just the way I roll. If it gets plague, it gets plague, whatever. But for right now, this bed is fertilized. It's still got a lot of tiny little cherry tomatoes that have broken down in the soil, so I'm sure we'll see some volunteer tomatoes popping up. In a lot of the other beds we're seeing volunteer tomato seedlings already. Some of them I'm going to leave. I have grown tomato plants through winter before. They survive, they look rough as hell, and they produce a few spring cherry tomatoes and then they die, which whatever. But if they're in a non-irritating spot, I'll leave them. If they're in an irritating spot, I'll pull them. It's basically how I roll. Low maintenance, but I'm gonna get this planted up now. I'm a little bit worried that we're gonna get some rain while I'm out here. I mean, which would be nice, but also I don't have a tarp yet on the chickens, and as I said, I don't think that house is a particularly good quality one, so I don't really want it getting wet. But I, more than anything, don't want the camera getting wet. So I'm gonna get stuck in here, get things planted up. We've mostly got, I think, broccolis. I want to say they're Waltham broccolis. Yep, Waltham broccolis. So there's a whole bunch of them. They're looking really healthy, and I really want to get a good crop of brocs because the first year we moved in we got a great crop and they were so tasty, and last year we got nothing. So I really want to get these in the ground and covered up ASAP so they can start growing and so that the blackbirds can't get to them. Seeing the climbing structure is up, and I have snow peas, sweet peas that are beyond ready to get in the ground. I'm going to toss a couple of them through the middle, and hopefully they'll provide a little bit of flower for the bees. But you know, we've already got a lot of flowers still for the bees because I planted up some pollinator gardens, although hilariously the pollinator gardens that I planted up are not doing as well as the rest of the garden, so whatever. But we're going to plant these up because I wanted a ton of sweet peas this year. I've been unsuccessful every year, so I've put in a lot of effort to protecting these seeds so they don't get knocked off like in the first couple of nights after sowing them. Usually bandicoots or mice, or I don't know, I'm not sitting out watching them, but some little critter comes along and steals them almost immediately. But then the trouble is you've got to find somewhere to put them to grow, and I've been prioritizing food over flowers. So yeah, I think we're gonna pop the sweet peas in here because it'll be a nice spot for them. In terms of variety, we've got solstice salmon, Oh, apple cuke, that's not a variety, that's a failure of a seed to germinate. So that's a solstice salmon. We have got Singing the Blues, and that's it. And we've also got a few red cabbage seedlings and some Love is a Mist flower. So mostly broccoli, and then we'll see what else we can fit in. I've also got a ton of zinnia seedlings that need to go somewhere. So we'll see how the distribution goes and see what kind of space we have left, and then we'll go from there. So I'm going to start with the sweet peas because they're going to be down the middle, and then I'm going to go straight into broccoli planting. And normally I like to mix my beds up and plant a bit of this, a bit of that, but I'm struggling for bed availability, and a lot of the things I have to plant for the cool season that I want to plant are garlic, which really want their own bed, and broccoli, which don't really care, and cauliflower. And broccoli and cauliflower are basically the same thing, so they're going to get mauled by cabbage moth if there's cabbage moth around. I also want to plant a stack of peas, but we've also got the chicken run. I can grow peas up now, and I also can't plant the peas on any of the other arbors until the loofahs and the pumpkins and everything like that are finished, and they're still not finished, which is great, but they're not finished. And I need to plant a bunch of onions, so we're kind of like running low on options, so everything's just going to go in together because I've got the space available on the seedlings already. In terms of onions, I need to replant the red onions because I don't know what happened to a lot of them. They died, and I'm not going to be planting as many broad beans this year. I've still got too many left from last year, and anywhere I do plant them, I plan to use them as a green manure more than anything. So we'll just see how we go, but there's a lot of stuff I'm still waiting for to wrap up before I can actually put in anything else. And I want to start a whole new set of seedlings. I want to plant more broccoli, more cabbage for the chickens because I hate cabbage, more collies because I just believe that at this point for collies and brocks, for me to actually get some, I probably need to plant 5 million, and then I might get one. I need to sow some more beet seeds. I need to sow some carrot seeds, but those will be direct sows. I want to sow some more lemongrass for snake deterrents. Yeah, there's a ton of stuff still to do. So I'm just gonna get stuck into this, and hopefully we can tick this one off the list of things to do. bed is all mulched up and it's got its netting over the top. Hopefully that's enough to keep the blackbirds at bay, although I can hear them in the area, which is frustrating. But we've got Waltham, broccoli pretty much everywhere. We've got a few, I think like 5 sweet peas. I had a couple of yellow giant California, Bennery's giant zinnias, and I've put in 2 Love is a Mist. So hopefully this bed will do really well. I really hope the blackbirds don't find a way to rip out all of my broccoli, and I hope the aphids don't go nuts in here. That's the other thing we've been struggling with, because it has been on and off hot, and it's supposed to be hot again tomorrow, but generally the temperatures are coming down quite significantly, particularly at night now. So we're definitely in autumn, but tomorrow we've got another warm day. So hopefully they won't get torched, they will survive, and we will get some broccoli at some point. We've got the garlic in this bed and everything is all done. Now I've just got to clean up and take some very angry, frustrated puppies for a walk, because they want to be out here harassing the chickens and they're not allowed to do that. And then once that's done, I'm going to mow the lawn and give the chickens the clippings, because I've been watching them just sort of snuggling down in the clippings that they have, and that's really where they look the happiest. So I want to try and give them some more lawn clippings, and we definitely need to mow anyway. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this video and getting back into some more regular planting and a little bit less chickens. We've still got a lot of beds to plant up. We've still got a lot of our cooler season crops to get in the beds, and also a lot more to be sown. So there's still a lot of work to do, and hopefully you guys will come along on that journey with us, and hopefully we will see you in the next video. Thanks so much for watching.